Hurst company took its battle against eminent domain and the Indiana Stadium Authority to the state legislature this week. Vice President Jim Hurst called on the committee in the Indiana House now considering eminent domain legislation to spare other companies the experience of facing government condemnation. The Hurst family bean processing business is in the way of planned parking for the new Indiana Stadium, and the Stadium Authority has filed a lawsuit that could lead to a public takeover of the Hurst property. Both sides are still negotiating, but Hurst told lawmakers that his company is being treated unfairly.
Our family-owned company has experienced the dark side of eminent domain. The power the General Assembly granted last year to the Stadium Authority has been misused.
I don't think it would if this bill were in effect.
And that's that's bill sponsor David Wilkins, who says that this bill would prevent this sort of circumstance in the future. But will the Hurst family, Leslie Stedman Weidenbender, get any help from the General Assembly?
Well, the bill is retroactive, so that it would it would help them. But whether a retroactive bill could pass is pretty questionable. The lawmakers generally don't like them. But I do think it puts some pressure on the Stadium Authority. It makes a statement of that the legislature doesn't think this is a good idea.
And there are still negotiations underway, and there's a deadline far in advance of the legislative deadline. The fact of the matter is, the Hursts have successfully managed to get into a number of forums to try to negotiate this. But this bill is about other things.
That bill is definitely about other things, and I discount the amount of influence that the General Assembly will have or could have in the negotiations that are going on with the Hurst family. Indications are that those are actually getting closer. They were working with the CIB, which had this project before. The state took it over, and the state took it over, and those parties are all working together. They're all on the same page, essentially. It's agreed that the Hurst company will stay there. Now the question is, how much space will they have to use when the Colts don't need it for games? And I think that they're very close on that, and I wouldn't be surprised to see an announcement very soon.
Is this really David versus Goliath?
I think that David's certainly grown in stature and power through effective use of the media in this campaign, and I'm not sure he's the average David out there, but I mean, I think the question is a bigger question, leaving aside the negotiations and how they're going to work out the eminent domain and the stadium deal. But the issue of eminent domain, I think, is a powerful populist issue, and I think that is percolating beneath this. But I think there's some concern because in David Wilkins' bill, IDEM, or not IDEM, NDOT
Department of Transportation
is exempt from that. And so if you wind up privatizing the toll roads there, you're going to have eminent domain for the benefit of private entities all along 69 or any expansion of the toll road.
Those are public highways, aren't they?
But you can still have,
they will be leased to a private entity.
They're effectively sold to a private entity, on top of which, what concerns me even more than that is the governor's initiative.
Is that different than an airport where airlines make money?
The other thing that concerns me on this is the initiative that in the governor's proposal on the highways, which allows privatization not only of roads, but of ports or airports or anything related to transportation. So it could all be sold.
Well, the bottom line here is that this is about a lot of very complicated things that mostly have nothing to do with the bean company and the stadium.
Exactly. I actually thought there for just one split second that Ann was right about this, and then she kept going, and then it got getting worse and worse. But
I mean, you couldn't follow it, Mike?
what it is this is about the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
And there is an underlying percolating going on within the public about taking private property for private use for public development. Yeah. And it's just that's what's driving this, and there's a lot of sentiment in the legislature to do something about it. And I think the Hurst folks have glommed onto this in a very opportune way. And John is absolutely right. There is going to be a resolution to this, and everybody's going to be happy at the end of the day.
Moving on, Jim Kittle decided to step down.